Free software is software that respects the user's freedom. It means that the users have the freedom to study what the program does and change it to do what they want. The freedom to redistribute copies to each other, and the freedom to publish an improved version. So free software is part of human knowledge. It's knowledge that you can have, that you can know, that you can use. Proprietary software hurts you more and more the more you use it. And so if we expect computers to be used more in society in the future, that means that the choice of free or proprietary software is going to have bigger effects in the future. Another reason, another obstacle to adopting free software is that we don't have as many application programs as there are in the proprietary world. We have a number of good application programs, but not as many. The solution to that is to develop more free applications. We should replace every proprietary program with a free program. Any program that users like. Companies need freedom just as much as people need freedom. Because actually I think as a social issue it's more important to give freedom to people than it is to give freedom to companies. But companies should have freedom in the same way, and companies need freedom in the same way. That if they don't, with proprietary software, they don't control what their computers do. The owner of the software controls their computers. But when they use free software, they are in control of their own computers. And this will benefit them in many different ways, because freedom always helps your life. In 1984, we launched a very ambitious project to develop an entire free software operating system, and we gave it the name GNU. In 1991, we had most of the GNU system. Linus Torvalds, a college student in Finland, wrote a kernel. When it was finished, or basically working, not totally finished, but initially complete, he decided to release it as free software, and he gave it the name Linux. Then other people combined Linux with all the pieces of the GNU system, and they made a system which, if you look at what it's made of, is GNU with Linux added. But they didn't realize that's what they were doing, so they called it a Linux system. And so you'll find most magazines, most companies, and so on call the system Linux, but that's a misnomer because it's actually more GNU than Linux. I've always thought about the free software movement as a way of spreading both freedom and cooperation in society. We should be very careful of ever saying it's a good thing that a non-free program is available, because that means we have given some other goal priority over freedom, and that's backwards. And people who give other goals priority over freedom, they may think that they're making a choice between two alternatives, but the choice is a mistake. And the reason is that when you don't have freedom because somebody dominates you, the one who dominates you uses that power to take other things away from you. The open source movement was started in 1998 to talk about our software, but hush up our ideals. So it's a way of disconnecting the work we did from the reasons for which we did it. They don't say that users should have the freedom to study and change and redistribute software. They say that for practical reasons it is convenient if users have these, are allowed to do this. But they don't say that it's a moral imperative. And they don't say that it's wrong to deny users these freedoms. So the most important point is missing. In the US, there are several kinds of laws that prohibit or obstruct free software development. There are two laws that prohibit free software development. Neither of them says free software is illegal. That's not what they do. But the laws make it illegal to develop free software to do certain jobs. One of them is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And that prohibits free software to play a DVD or to read an ebook or to listen to an encrypted audio stream, say like a real audio stream or a real video stream. These are a small subset of all the things you can do with a computer, but they're very important for the users. The other prohibition comes from applying patents to software ideas. It's not that they patent programs. If they patented an individual program, it wouldn't matter. But they patent ideas. Ideas are much more general than a particular piece of code, because any program you write that uses the same idea is prohibited. You get sued for writing it, even though you wrote it yourself. ALCA is dangerous to democracy and sovereignty of every people in this hemisphere. Nobody should sign it. George Bush stole the election. He was not legitimately elected. It has been established that the election commission in Florida, where his brother is the governor, sent out a list of felons who were not allowed to vote. They chose not to check the list. And as a result, they included many people in the list who had not committed crimes and were entitled to vote. And because of this, of course, it turns out a lot of black people were in this list by mistake. And it happened because a lot of black people have been convicted of felonies. The justice system in the U.S. is unfair to black people. And so, because they didn't check the list, a lot of black people who were not criminals were denied the right to vote in that election. And as it happens, the blacks, of course, everyone knew the blacks were going to vote Democratic. So it was by far enough to have changed the outcome of the election. When will we liberate everyone from proprietary software? Well, I can't tell, because that depends on how much you help. This is a political battle. We don't know who's going to win. We don't know, if we win, how long it will take. It's a hard fight. You've got to join in the fight, then we'll have a better chance of winning.